This is the volume. These two.
All right. Thanks, sweetie.
Not good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Sean in his email, he said he accepted the buyout.
So this is the second round
Yeah,
of buyout, and
okay,
it was take it or leave it, but either way you're going.
no kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
But his email said that he had taken another position, right? Something,
That's, well, not with USDA.
Not with USD.
not with USDA, but it was,
Right, right.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good guy. Hopefully he lands on it.
Yeah, Sean's a great guy.
Yeah. I never got to know Jonathan very well, but at least he signed the pay rec before he left.
Well, I was on the phone with him and he
Yeah.
was talking to me about, he called me to tell me he was
Yeah.
getting done. And I said, hey, before you go,
Yeah,
can you sign the requisition? And he did. He sent it out right after. I
Yeah,
got
oh, wow.
on the phone. So,
no, I didn't realize he was part of it too. Hmm. Wow, scary.
Still nothing we started.
Let's see. Nope, something from Michael Murdoch, but nope, nothing from you. There it is. Yep.
Oh, Frank, how you doing?
Very good.
Okay.
This is Pat.
Yeah, oh, yeah, nice to meet you.
Brian, how are you?
Jason, good to see you.
Uh, There's,
Oh, yeah.
those are
that's just
agendas,
agenda.
yeah, for guests.
The two guys we've been closely working with at USDA gone as of today.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we did, staff went from 32 down to 9. So that's probably not gonna have a good impact on us, at least time wise.
Let's put fewer people to go see.
Well,
Get to the end of the finish
that's
line.
being a bit optimistic, but we can hope.
30 people, 90 would ask, I understand.
Really bad, but that their $500,000 grant is our last piece that we have to exhaust everything else for us.
That's what the tank.
Yeah,
It's up front.
so,
Maybe they'll have a plan by then, huh?
yeah. I hope so. Yeah, at least we've got a little bit of time for them to sort things out.
And yeah. We're gonna do the catch up. Sometime this week or next. Yeah. One of the things I want to start doing.
Yeah, just wanted to make sure, Brian knows, that we know that's him, not her.
So I want to start looking at that. Understanding from you guys. Pretty space.
Yeah.
We start kind of trying to lay out the exit points. So I can start coordination with each.
Lisa, that's me up on the screen, Helen Cabot McCarthy,
Yeah,
just
I
so you know.
was just responding to you. You going to, join us visually?
So I can kind of.
I'll try.
You know, the best place for entry and exit points.
Are you seeing us?
Yeah, I see you guys just fine.
Okay, so there's gonna be a presentation,
I see,
just wanna
yeah.
make sure you see that.
Yeah. That would-
I changed your name, Brian.
What's that?
Since I wasn't here,
yeah,
I asked
but
me,
yeah, it's just.
maybe refrain from the wait for the minute.
Bye.
Is there,
Yeah, you could, yeah.
Geotech, or maybe there is original installation, or is it ledge, I guess? is the
It is.
question. Yes, yes.
Not something to get too excited about one way or another. Oh, Kevin. Hey.
Hey, guys.
Jeez,
Size
got the big guns here tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, it's doing it again.
Yeah, she supposedly sent it to me, but I don't think BC3 quarantined it. And I don't get that report till tonight, so she was away last week. So I don't have it. I'll either pull it and we'll put it on next month's, or if they allow it. So here's the warrant.
Okay.
The Allen Engineering invoice, we were missing one,
Yeah.
and I tried to get it, and she sent it to me, but I haven't received it.
But it's listed here.
It's listed,
Yeah,
there.
okay.
So,
Yep.
We won't pay it until Kevin approves
Yep.
it, or if you want me to remove it for the warrant,
No, that's no.
Yeah.
you can let me know.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Larry.
Now there.
Hey.
Looks like a fairly long agenda today.
Well, it's all up to the chair to keep it moving along.
We only have to blame you for it, Larry. Anything else you gotta say?
No, I'll try my best. It's just how quickly I can pull those answers out of you guys. All right, it looks like 6 o'clock, so I'll call to order the North Hero Water Board meeting for April 14th, 2025 at 6 p.m. So I call that to order. Adjustments to the agenda, anybody?
Nope.
No? Reorganization of the board. Election of the chair.
Nominate Larry.
Second.
Okay. Did you figure that out, Lisa?
I got it, yep.
Okay. Discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. And not hearing any, and I will abstain from voting. Thank you, guys. Setting, let's see, I wonder if there's a way to, well, I guess not, to make it easier. Setting date and time for the meetings.
Move
I'll
to
make
keep it the same.
On the second Monday of every month at 6 o'clock.
Okay,
Second.
a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any nays? No nays. Continuing with current policies and ordinances.
I'll make the motion that we continue with our current policies and ordinances.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, nays. Aye. Uh, Appoint board clerk.
I'll make the motion to nominate Lisa as our clerk to continue.
Second.
I just want to say, Lisa, that took them a long time.
I know.
I will talk to them behind.
Thank
closed
you. I
doors.
was thinking the same thing. I was like, oh, well,
Yeah.
okay.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any nays? Great. Thank you for doing this again, Lisa. I appreciate it.
We all do.
Board member permitted to sign warrants and other documents only in the event a signature is needed outside of a normal meeting.
I will nominate Larry to continue in that position.
Second.
Okay.
Discussion? Hearing any, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Was that all ayes? I didn't hear them.
Aye. Aye.
Aye, aye.
Okay. Any nays? No nays. Okay. Board members assigned to be the liaison between the water board and select board.
Me right now, but I'm not gonna nominate myself.
I'll
I
nominate
nominate-
Andy Alling to be the liaison between the water board and the select board.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any nays? No nays. I'm just curious why when I look on the screen, all I see is Brian.
That's
Looking at
rough.
that, all I see is you.
I know. Something's not right there. All right, where are we? Board member assigned to be liaison between the water board and public works.
I'll nominate Brian McCarthy for that position.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any nays? No nays. Board members assigned to be the liaison between the water board and SOS on projects.
I'd just like to point out it was both Brian and I this past year.
Okay, somebody like to make a motion to continue that?
Well, if those two are willing to continue that, I'll make a motion that Andy and Brian continue in the role of liaison between the water board and SOS.
Okay. Did we get a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any nays? No nays. Board member who will receive and sign documents involving the state. I believe that's been Brian.
Hey, Brian.
Yep.
Okay, a second.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any nays? No nays. Election of finance chair.
I will nominate Frank.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any nays? Location for posting of the North Hero Water Board agenda and correspondence for the public. We currently post where, Lisa?
Harborside Market, Heroes Welcome, the town office and the town website.
And does that work for you?
Works for me. Where
Okay,
everybody else is supposed to.
I move that we use those same places.
And that,
Second.
okay, discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any nays? Water alert. Board members who will be involved with any updates and or concerns. I think that was me and Jim, possibly.
You and
Larry and
Jim, yep.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll make the motion to continue with Larry and Jim.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I can't.
Aye. Any nays? No nays. Okay. Open meeting laws, ethics training. Now, what do we need there? We need somebody to be the hall monitor. Is that
So the open meeting law training is the same as it is every year. There's a training by Northwest Regional Planning on April 29th with a time to be determined.
okay? But we don't need a board member to be appointed as somebody watching over that, just that we have to complete one. Is that what you're looking for?
You have to complete one as chair.
I think
I
we
believe
all,
I believe it's the chair every year and anybody at their reappointment time. So every 3 years for everybody else chair every year. So I remembered it from the DRB.
Yeah.
and
So yeah, Jim and I got reappointed this year.
did they change that to everybody this year under the new rules?
Not for the open meeting law training.
Okay. Can we just look that up, Lisa? Maybe ask Corinne on that? Because for some reason, I was under the impression the state of Vermont changed it for everybody yearly.
No, I'm here, Larry. and
Oh, you're
that's-
there. Okay, I'm sorry, I can't see you.
That's okay. The only requirement for the state of Vermont is that the select board chair takes a very specific training. It's through the Secretary of State's office. That's the only requirement in the open meeting law.
Okay,
The town of North Hero has a training policy that was enacted after an open meeting law incident that is exactly what Andy Alling referred to.
so that's still the same. Okay,
Yeah, generally, and everybody else every 3 years.
okay. And how about the ethics training?
The ethics training is only required for quasi judicial boards, which the water board is not.
Okay, wonderful.
But you're subject to the code of ethics.
The
Yeah.
code of ethics.
As water commissioners, you're subject to the code of ethics.
Okay, so April 29th is the next one coming up. Is that what I'm hearing?
For open meeting law. And there's a VLCT training too.
Corinne sent out an email last week giving 3 or 4 possibilities.
Okay, if you could resend that out, that would be good. And if everybody can try to make one of those, it would be appreciated who needs to, which is myself, Jim, Andy, and anybody 3 years or more. Are we good there? Okay, approval of minutes, March 10th, 2025.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
All those, any discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any nays? Not hearing any. Thank you, Lisa. Approval of the warrants, April 14th, 2025.
Want to make a motion for the payment of 2 warrants, Fund 21, amount of 24,363 spot 47, and Fund 22, 123,388 spot 10.
I'll second.
Okay, discussion on those? Not hearing any. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any nays? No nays. All right, I missed the first one. Jason Booth, procedures for negligent chase payment. What do we have there?
Well, I'll just, a quick recap. We're all set, with the, funding through USDA and the funding coming from the state. We need to get both the USDA and the state to sign off. We don't need the state, signature yet because we haven't finalized our loan agreement. We did get the USDA's, signature today. And it seems like that was his last official act before he left the USDA, so.
Okay, but then,
So we're all set on this
But
invoice. I'm not sure what's gonna happen moving forward.
all right, but this says procedures for payment.
But, yeah, so the procedure is, Negley and Chase issues the payment requisition, it gets reviewed, I sign off on it, Jason signs off on it. USDA signs off, and then the state signs off. So it's different than a normal invoice. I just wanted to make that clear.
Okay. Balance sheet fund 2122.
Yep, those are just the documents,
Okay.
financial reports.
Any questions on those? Everything looks good. Frank, you got any questions
Yes.
on them?
No, no commentary.
Okay, good. Budget status? Is that the same there? Are we all good on
Yes.
that?
Same there.
Okay. Recognition of visitors. Do we have any visitors to recognize?
Got all kinds of, like, I'll let you guys all go through.
Pat Rowland, with Vortex, here to talk about pipe bursting.
Okay, I guess I should be asking, any recognition of visitors not on the agenda? No, nobody? Okay, good. And now the Vortex presentation, I'm all ears. For, who do we have there?
Jason and myself, I brought a slideshow, brief slideshow.
Great.
Do that thing. We're Vortex. We used to be Ted Berry, a family-owned company in Maine who worked throughout the Northeast, and we got picked up a few, probably 5 years ago by Vortex, who's based in Houston, and companies all over the world. Manufacturing products and doing all kind of the same type of stuff we did before, just on a much larger scale. We do infrastructure rehab, basically, liners, pipe bursting, slip lining, cementitious products that go inside manholes and large pipes and things along those lines, and the stuff that goes with it, cleaning camera, existing infrastructure to identify any problems that municipalities or utilities might have, that type of thing. And we're here today to talk about pipe bursting, which if you want to go to the next slide, we can go skip this one too. These are all our offices. That's pipe bursting. So for this particular case, for water, we use a technique that would be called static. And the static part is that head right there. A pneumatic style pipe burst would have a hammer driven by air in the head. They don't use that for water for various reasons, but this is a static head, and you basically just pull on that with a big hydraulic ram machine that sits in a trench box, and you've got pipe lined out behind it, and you just yank this thing through, and oftentimes it'll have a cutter on the front of that, and it pulls on a steel rod, and it just yanks HDPE pipe through the old existing pipe. And we do it a lot for, most of the time, it's water line or sewer line that needs replacing, or that needs upsizing, needs more capacity. And it's not perfect. There's several things that will limit it. Excavation, you've got to dig up all your services. You got to any elbows, it won't pull through an elbow, won't pull around corners. if there's ledge and you're upsizing it, it creates problems because it's compacting the soil, breaks the pipe, compacts the soil, and makes room for that new pipe to come through it. But in a lot of cases, it's ideal. You reduce the impact significantly. Or you can reduce the impact significantly in the right instances. You can, instead of digging the entire trench, you have to dig a 20-foot trench on one side and a small 6x6 with a slope trench out the back to pull the pipe into. But you can, you might be able to pull 600-700 feet at a time. And so
I think there's another slide, isn't there, out that shows the,
yeah, there probably is. Yeah, I'm getting it. Yeah, right there is.
right there, that's what I was
Yeah.
thinking.
This one,
That's,
So go back one,
back one?
sorry, forward two. That one right
Yeah.
there.
yeah, that's a good, yeah, you see that in the left-hand box there, there's a cutter in front of the head, pulling the pipe down.
So essentially what happens is you have over the length of, say, 500 feet, I don't know, it depends, right, Pat? On the type of material that the hose pipe is. So you have two excavations on either end where you're basically cutting out a chunk of the water line to access the water line from one side with the pipe reamer. And then on the other side, you're excavating down again to that pipe elevation and cutting out the pipe elevation, sort of threading the needle through the pipe to hook on to the pole reaming pipe. And then you use your hydraulics to pull that reamer through the hose pipe, essentially. You can kind of see that in the cross section here.
Yeah, we've got to go, we've got to dig up. If there's services, you'll have to dig up the services and disconnect them like that. So it's not quite as simple as this, but it's pretty simple.
How about repair clamps?
It doesn't pull through repair clamps all that well. Yeah, so we'll go through and clean and we'll clean and video to identify any repair clamps and bends that aren't shown on plans or what have you. But yeah, there's a few things it doesn't like to pull through. Repair clamps, elbows. But yeah, you pull an HDPE 200 plus PSI pipe through it and you'll tie your services back in with a saddle clamp. Good to go.
You can put it back online, or you have to put it back online that day.
It'd have to be pressure tested. Be able to be online.
Right.
Yeah. So the situation here, there's maybe half a dozen services on the first section.
First section is where most of them are, yeah.
Yep, so there's maybe half a dozen services, so what we're gonna need to kind of coordinate through this whole process is how we can provide temporary water for those services, and I've got some thoughts on how we can do that. And then once we have temporary water, the thought would be that, they could come in and pull this pipe right through, it comes in, we can pressure test it, we can chlorinate it, all well on temporary water, and then go into those half a dozen locations, excavate and make your service connection.
And then the southern part, yeah, would be based off the tank. Or floating off the tank.
Yes, while that work is being done, yes, that's right.
So I know you said ledge is an issue now, where obviously if there's a pipe replacement, whatever potential ledge is theoretically gone, but we do have areas that are retrenched. So there's not a lot of width around the pipe. And my understanding is that kind of goes through and splits the pipe and then kind of redistributes that stuff kind of out in the surrounding area. And so I'm just wondering, like, where there's not a lot of give in those areas, how does that work?
It all depends on, this one being size on size where you're pulling an 8 through an 8, you are gonna still be expanding the soil, but like 10 or almost 11 inches probably. So, usually in a size on size, I don't remember ever really having a problem with ledge. Not that it doesn't happen, not that it's never happened before, but if you're upsizing, say pulling a 10 through here, you might run into some issues that just wouldn't want to pull.
Right.
Does it break evenly, or does it break into pieces, or, how's it cut?
It just breaks it however it breaks. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be.
Does that cause problems down the road for tapping on new customers? Having to break up all the pieces of.
You might have to, yeah, you might have, depending on the material, like a cast iron, I'll break it up. Smash it up and you can just dig down and pretty much by hand clean that pipe off. Ductile iron, hard telling, it might, it might be still stuck on there and you'll have to cut through it, carefully, obviously. And tie in that way.
Gonna depend on the condition of it too, if it's great shape.
Right. And does your company do the connections, the service connections for that, or is that somebody else?
Usually that's somebody else. We've done it in the past, but there's usually always an excavation guy working with us.
Right.
And that it's better suited for them to do it, so dig it up.
And do they normally do a normal saddle on that, or do they do the fused?
We can do either way.
Okay.
I mean, it would be, I mean, it's gonna be HDPE pipe, so.
Well,
we can
that's
do-
why I was asking.
We can do either.
Yeah.
We
okay.
could go either way.
Okay.
I think. Honestly, I would prefer saddles, but I can go either way. And that's something, conversation.
Yeah.
But the way I kind of see this happening and what would be typical for a project like this is we put this out to bid and we would have a GC that would bid the project most likely. And they're gonna have to excavate all the pits and prep the pits for Vortec to come in.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to get things set up and shore the excavation and make sure it's a safe excavation. They'll handle the pipe probably for them and get things strung out and set up. They'll probably do all the testing. I'm not sure if you guys would do that, or I'm assuming you would rely on the GC.
Either way, we
Yep.
do it sometimes they do it.
You talk about valve installation, so that'd be something the GC would do if we pick some strategic locations for valves.
Yeah.
The GC would do temporary water, they would do the temporary water connections and then the reconnection back to the main.
Yeah.
So there would have to be a sort of another entity there.
Right.
That would either carry the contract and Vortex would be a sub to them. And I guess part of that is somewhat undefined on our end. We would put the contract together and put it out to bid. And then that would be something that would be coordinated between Vortex and whoever the contractors are.
Right.
But I just would envision that, and I don't know, Pat, that assuming you guys would probably most likely be a sub and not
Yeah.
GC the whole time.
Yeah, yeah, 95 times out of 100. you're
Yeah.
so, yeah.
So that's probably the most likely.
And we might wanna think about controls with this, with our current, tank upgrade. Cause then we're gonna be running the plant and running a second distribution system pretty much.
With temporary water.
Yeah, well, no, but like when you run the southern end of the island off the tank for 24 hours.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to have, be able to run both simultaneously.
Yep.
So we might
Unless
want
we
to
can come up with a way with that temporary service to be able to supply the tank as well, but. I don't know how we're gonna. We haven't talked about that too much yet, but.
No, we haven't, and it's something we'll have to discuss.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get on a call, Kevin, to talk, and Joe, if you guys want to both be part of that.
Yeah.
Talk that through a little bit. I think that no matter what happens out there, we're gonna have to figure that out.
Right.
Yeah. And even if it's open cut, we're gonna have to kind of figure that out. That process out.
So even in the scenario of a leak, if we have to shut it down. We have to-
Well, yeah, I was taking that discussion for.
So you guys sort of have a process
Yeah.
that you've used in the past.
Which is all gonna
This may
change
be-
now.
Yeah, but this may be more longer term
Right.
than just fixing a leak for you guys. Yeah.
So just going back to the splitting, so what happens? When we get to an area that we know there's a repair plant in that area, do we?
Yeah, usually what we'll do is we'll identify where it is, and we'll just try to pull through it, and sometimes it pulls right through. Other times you'll know because the pressure on the pump hydraulic pump will spike up, and so you'll not get too carried away, and we'll just have to dig it out and replace it, or remove it rather.
So one of
So-
the things sorry.
So I was just gonna say, so as part of this process, that you actually camera the line before you even do the splitting?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I would like to do, and this is a coordination piece on my end, is we have an opportunity here to place these pits in strategic locations potentially, right?
Yeah.
So we're not gonna know maybe what all the repair clamps are.
We can pick
But if we can,
Once.
if we can be strategic about it a little bit and we know, hey, I know there's a bend right here.
Yeah.
You know, I know there's a 45-degree bend right here.
Mhm.
Maybe that's where we strategically put one of these excavation points.
Right,
That we know we have to be an entry point. And we can dig down and take out a chunk of pipe so that we can
Yeah.
facilitate that from that location, and then they don't have to pull through it.
right,
There may be some.
Right.
Just don't know where they are.
right.
But we can coordinate on that and be strategic about where we place those.
And how long of a process is this typically? I mean, it sounds, I guess I was thinking, you know, you excavate, you get, then you kind of get set up and then you break your pipe and then you start it out with the camera work and everything involved. It sounds like it's potentially a couple days for 500 to 700 feet at a time or.
Yeah, usually like 3 to 5 days, you know, and that's if we show up in the. Well, I guess it's not exactly true. I was gonna say we show up in the holes are dug because we gotta fuse all that pipe and that's the other thing.
And do you supply the pipe?
We do,
Part of it.
typically we do.
And you do
Sometimes the utility will buy it. but
And you do the fusing versus the rolls?
Yeah.
Is it just,
At this size, yeah.
yeah, okay,
And we'll put an electrofusion coupling in on the end here, probably, maybe not though. Maybe not, but
We probably will need one to transition back to whatever the existing pipe is on here.
yeah.
Yeah.
something,
Yeah.
Was that 3 to 5 days for the whole proposed project or for 500 foot?
Per section.
First day.
And that's our work. So there's probably, you know, to dig the hole, you're gonna have a couple days and shore it up and then backfill the whole thing. You're probably gonna have a couple days and site restoration. Depending on if that's pavement or if it's grass or what it is. Take some time.
So this is really the kind of project that's better to do in 500 chunk segments or?
Yeah, longer is better. Yeah. So we do, you know, we always lead off with like 500 because it's a good conservative number usually. But you know, we can get up to 1,000, 8-inch, we can probably get up to 1,000 feet. Well, you know, I said, you know, knock on wood, I say that, you watch, we won't get a single one, but, yeah. We regularly pull 1,000 foot ones.
So I think one of the other strategic things we can look at is, obviously, we're gonna have to put temporary water in. You know, maybe we're looking at getting 1,000 feet in, and then we get that tested and put back in service.
right,
We could do something like that.
yeah, I guess I kind of envisioned it somehow we would sort of kind of piggyback it. You know, do a section, bypass that area and get that tested, bring that online, then we can move further down or leapfrog it, I guess, and then move down to the next stretch.
And then we may have to do that, and maybe that's something we coordinate a little bit differently than, I say temporary water, but maybe we're putting a jumper in where we're using some extra pipe. You know, that we're tying in on either side of a section that they're gonna be bursting.
Yeah.
You know, and then we take that out and we can pull that jumper down to the next section, and tie that back in.
Right.
Right.
When I had originally talked to Wayne about this, when we were first starting this is, you know, we were toying with the idea of, well, maybe we have to go in and install some blow off locations prior to this, and then we can use those as a temporary
So
point to go.
that's something that I want to talk with you about, because I have some thoughts on how we can kind of facilitate that temporary water piece a little bit.
Okay.
And I think that that's something we can roll into the contract.
Okay.
So that, you know, maybe the contractor comes in and that's the first thing they do. They've got to get those set up.
Right.
And then, you know, get their temporary water in play. And depending on where the services are, we can, if we go in an intermediate point and drop in like a blow off, like you're saying, or even just tap in for the temporary water.
Yeah.
We can kind of limit how long that temporary water section has to be.
Right.
So that's something that we'll want to talk about coordinating.
Right.
All right, the big question. It's good to hear about all the detail. But for me, it's about the cost. So give me a couple different visions of what's going to be the cost versus putting regular pipe in the ground, and with taking out that our pipe's already in the ground, so we don't have ledge to really deal with. We're just digging the pipe up throwing another pipe down. What type of percentage cost savings would this be to us?
Hard to put a number on it.
Yeah, it's hard to put a number on it. Usually like the savings will come from the minimal excavation and, the finishes, the finishes are always big. If it's under the road out here, you don't have to pave, you're saving a lot of money. That's the expensive stuff. Traffic disruption. We can put a budget together for this easy enough.
Well, how about past projects? Do you have any data there of what what you believe the project saved versus doing it the I'm going to call it the old-fashioned way now? Open, yeah.
I've got rough ideas, like I don't really know. I guess I don't know off the top of my head what an open cut excavation would cost through here.
So right now, our budgeting numbers for open cut, just budget numbers for pipe installed per linear foot, include like from sub base all the way up to grade. We're looking at roughly around $500 a foot to $750 a foot. That's complete installed, paved, everything. That's complete restoration. And that's a budget number that we've been seeing over the past 2 years that we've been kind of rolling with. So on the low end, you're looking at about $500 a linear foot for an open cut scenario.
Okay, so you're saying 1,000 feet would be, if I threw the low number in there, would be 500,000, and it would be 750,000 if we're at the high end, and that would be everything. That would be turnkey.
That would be everything. So complete excavation and installation of the pipe from the bedding all the way up through surface restoration, Larry, per foot cost.
Okay, all right, and
To pull an 8-inch pipe, we're probably gonna be, I'd say, probably in the $120 to $150 range for pulling the pipe, buying and pulling the pipe. Then you've got the excavation, so for a 1,000-foot stretch, you're pulling 500-foot pulls. You'll have 3 excavations that are, even let's say they're 10 grand a piece. So there's $30,000 over 1,000. So there's $30 a foot. And say we're at the top end, like $150, $180 a foot. Then you're gonna be, services and like that, probably add another, so we're gonna be, probably what, two-thirds of the cost of this, if not half.
I'd say that's a good estimate right now. I think, Larry, I think that's just kind of a good range from an estimate perspective. And we really need to get some of the more details and layout before we can put a good cost estimate together for you folks. But what we need to do is we really need to sit down with Pat, which he and I have talked about. We're going to look at where we can strategically put our entry and exit points. We've got to get a better handle on how we want to manage the temporary water. And then we can start really formulating a good cost estimate for this effort. But I think roughly based on this discussion, Pat's about right. You're looking at about 2/3 the cost of an open cut scenario on the higher end.
so 2/3 the cut would be okay. And all right, my other question: temperature. Can it be done in the wintertime?
Yeah.
And
It's a limiting part on that, really.
Temporary water would be too.
Yeah, temporary water, right? Yeah, no problem, but, yeah.
and fusing it's not a problem in the wintertime? No? Okay. All right, gas, temperature, time. I think you answered those. Time, you said 500 feet and somewhere in the 2 to 4 day range. All right. All right, any other concerns or problems that you see with our project that would need additional attention?
One thing I would just like to remind you of, I think we've talked about it before, Larry, is that stretch that we're looking at, we're really limited on space as well. So this type of procedure seems like it could be really advantageous to us and actually probably save us time in the long run as well versus open cutting and replacing. So that's something to just sort of keep in your mind as those prices kind of float around.
Yeah, unfortunately for us, price is usually pretty much the winner. But versus the time aspect, it's we only have so much money, and we'd like to do as much as we can down through there. And I forget, can somebody remind me how many feet that we would like out of this project?
I think the two areas that we kind of have earmarked right now, I think one of them is about 2,300 feet, and I think the other one is maybe just over 1,000.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
You know, with the 2,300 feet being kind of the priority of the project, if we had to choose a spot.
33 times 500.
And originally, we were talking about 3,500 feet of this. Does that arithmetic still?
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, okay.
You know, but I think as you and I had talked about, Brian, if we could kind of get to that high point blow off by Dwayne's place and then kind of north up to where we replace that 200 feet, that would kind of be at least a good chunk to get taken care of.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
Yeah, just want to add something to what Kevin said about the limited space available. So we're gonna have to coordinate with V-Trans out there as well. And they're gonna want us to look at alternatives to open cut on their road. So I'm just putting that out there that we haven't started that conversation yet. But I will be shortly with V-Trans because I want to bring them in very early on in the process while we're coordinating these alternatives. So I just put that out there also, is they're probably going to play a big role in this effort. So,
well, the good thing is we really shouldn't have to disturb anything in Route 2. I don't think. I think we're going to be the worst part will be, well, I guess based on the size of the pits that are needed.
Yeah.
And then I think there's 1, 2, 3, I think there's 4 to 5 crossings that I'm not sure how those could be set up to push under the road, given where they are.
I think I'm less concerned about the service crossings than I am about the actual main line.
Right.
And I think we will be in the roadway with the pit for this, these excavations at the extents of the 500-foot pole.
Right.
But we can talk about that a little bit more.
And how, if we're in a stretch, it's sort of under the road a little bit, like how does that affect, do states typically have issues with their road bed or concerns about that?
V-Trans does.
I'm sure they do.
Big time.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't want you to dig in their right of way.
Right.
That is the last, that is the last resort for V-Trans.
Yeah.
Digging in the right of way.
Yeah.
They want you to exhaust every other alternative before you dig in the right of way.
Right.
So what I want to get out and bring them in as soon as possible is you don't have a lot of alternatives here.
Right.
With the topography out there, you're either in the woods on the slope or you're closing in on the lake, and we don't want to go on the lakeside.
Right.
But you're in their right of way and you're in their roadway. So bringing them in as early as possible and showing them how we're trying to mitigate excavation in their roadway, I think is gonna be tremendously helpful.
Yeah.
To show them that we're not open cutting this, we're not digging the whole site, trying to avoid digging the whole.
Right. Right.
Well, my thought on this is we shouldn't bring it in and tell them that, that we're going this way until we've decided to go that way. Because if we have to dig up the pipe, then we have to dig up the pipe. So I don't know how you negotiate, but I usually don't throw out all that stuff. If it's cheaper, it's cheaper. I don't have a problem there. But if for some reason it's going to cost more, and when I do the number of 500, which I'm being given as a low number, times the pipe that we got to put in, it's pretty much I think we said what, 1.5 mil for the budget, Brian?
Yep.
So, that puts me at 1.6, I forget, 1.625 or something, and that's without engineering. So I have to look at it and find the way that I can stretch to put the most amount of pipe in the ground. So that's all I ask. We don't go out there and start raving that we can do this without touching it if for some reason it's going to cost us more. Fair enough?
No, that makes good sense, Larry, but until we've done a little more towards the survey end of it, until we have the actual numbers that we have to dig up for the services and all that sort of stuff, it's pretty much hypothetical, but if the costs are going to be lower, it's a no-brainer.
Yes. But but anyways, that's the number. When I multiply the low number times the 3,300, I'm pretty sure it's 1.625 mil. I mean, yeah. So that's what I'm looking at. And at that point, we'd have to decide where to cut, what part not to put in. So, all right. Any other questions, suggestions, conversations?
I didn't ask, but I'm assuming you can pull tracer wire with that when you go through as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, okay. So for me, the key is the price. So I would like to maybe see some sort of a comparison there going forward. And if not, it sounds like a great option to have. And
Yeah.
I appreciate the presentation tonight very much. Anything else?
And I emailed you all the presentation and the PDF document from Patrick.
Great, thanks, Lisa.
So we all have it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Appreciate it.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming.
Sounds
good.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Any follow-up with that, guys, or are we good for now?
Good to go for now.
Okay. Water storage tank project timeline discussion. Water storage tank certification of contract documents update. Is that you, Andy?
Yeah, that's me. That got completed today. We needed the final thing we needed from USDA was a certification from our town attorney that the contract documents were in order. We got that out Friday, got the USDA signature today, so that is done.
Okay, good. So that's nothing we need to keep on the agenda for next month, correct? Okay. Water storage tank timeline.
Yeah, it's the same schedule we had last month. Jason and I had a Teams meeting with Jim Maloney from Nagley and Chase this morning. Everything is still proceeding on schedule, perhaps a bit ahead of schedule, but for right now, this schedule is still valid. So the tank has been ordered into production. So we're still looking at Nagley and Chase mobilizing late summer and project completion mid-November. And if we, as a team, can improve that by a couple of weeks, we'll work toward that. But
Okay, that would be awesome. Any other questions there? Comments? Revolving loan fund update. Any movement on that?
I'll let you fill everybody in, Jason, basically what you told me this morning.
Yep, so I reached out, I've been keeping regular contact with the state. My last discussion with them last week with the finance division was they were waiting on the step 3 engineering services approval, which is in the Water Investment Division Engineers Court, Cindy Parks. I reached out to Cindy last week. She said she has the letter drafted, just needs to have it signed and get it over to the division. She was supposed to do it last week. I didn't see anything. I don't know whether she did, but I have a call into her to figure out what the status is there. So they're almost there. Once they get that letter from Cindy, then you'll see the loan documents for signature. That'll have to go to the select board.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, we'll keep that on the agenda, Lisa. Project update, cost summary, Andy.
Yeah, page 14 of the agenda packet has the updated. It's as far as the budget for phase 1, same as last month, just updated the cost to date. The big item of increased cost was the invoice we got from Nagley and Chase. I think it was about $114,000. So that is where we are right now. Now, I added down at the bottom, you will see I added what I call it a preliminary update for phase 2. And the only science here is that when we applied for funding from both from Northern Borders and CRRP, it was based on a total project cost of $4,037,000. And so the funding we received was based on that total cost. So all I did was take that cost, subtract our current budget for phase 1 of $2,140,000. That leaves us just under 1.9 million for phase 2. So we have to spend that amount of money in order to get all of our funding. And so it seems like, and that includes engineering, everything. It seems like we're in that ballpark right now.
It does.
Okay. Any questions on that?
No.
Phase 2, Route 2 water line replacement. The timeline.
So yep, you want me to go?
Yeah, go ahead, Jason.
Our survey is complete. We completed survey, I think, beginning of last week. And end of last week, our base mapping was done for existing conditions. I sent base mapping over to Pat at Vortex to start taking a look at it. We are going to regroup. I'm trying to schedule a time with him. It's probably going to be early next week to start discussing layouts and where we can start fitting in those entry and exit points that we discussed. Kevin, I will be reaching out to you to schedule some time before we actually have a formal 30% meeting. I want to look at the existing conditions with you, and then we can talk about where some of the features are that might be problematic.
Yep.
So I will be reaching out to you. I've initiated the archaeological resource assessment that needs to be completed for the project. I've been communicating with the archaeologist. What I need before he can actually do the layout or the ARA is at least a general idea of where we're looking at disturbance for excavation. So that'll be coming here in the next couple of weeks, one by coordination with Pat, on where we have entry and exit points. And then, like I mentioned before, the coordination with V-Trans as well, which is gonna start here pretty quick. So
Okay,
that's I think we're on target here. I'm still shooting. I think Larry, in our conversations and in the engineering services agreement, we had projected a 30% meeting sometime in mid to end of May. I'm still on target for that, so.
excellent. I'm looking at that. Yep, 30% review meeting. 60% in July.
Yep.
It's up. So, and I really think we need some sort of guidance showing, especially if the community asks me, or the select board, or specific individuals in the community, the savings of doing this pipe bursting, which may need explaining to some in the community, or may not. I need to sort of be able to get my hands around a number that you give me that says it's going to save 10%, it's going to save 20%, it's going to save 30%.
Sure, and I can, so up front, I could give you some preliminary numbers, but we typically really don't start honing in on numbers until we approach 60%. And at that 60% meeting, when we have good layouts, we have, for this particular project, we're gonna have a better handle on temporary water. And that just comes with the progress of the design. So, that's gonna be an evolving number, Larry. But I can give you some preliminary ideas, more concrete than what we just discussed here. I can give you some better preliminary ideas of what those numbers would look like.
Okay, because to me, unless I misunderstood with the archaeological, you're talking about going with them with just those spots of where we're going to dig up. But in reality, is that going to be the way that we go? So we sort of need to figure out, for the archaeological part of it, are we going to dig the whole thing up, or are we just going to dig up the little squares? Is that what I was getting from you, or did I misunderstand, Jason?
Well, I think it's I think that it's both of those things, Larry. We've got to look at both alternatives, right? You got to look at the overall potential for disturbance.
Right, okay.
The area of potential disturbance.
Okay, so when we apply for it, we're looking at both of them.
Yes, we have to.
Okay, all right. That's good there. Brian, you okay?
I'll make it.
All right, other input on that, Jason? I mean, what's your feeling? Have you done a project like this yet?
We have not done a pipe bursting project. We've looked at it before, but we've just never done it. The conditions for the particular projects that we considered it weren't right. I think this is probably one of the best candidates for looking at pipe bursting that I've ever been involved with, given the constraints that you have for the water line, for its existing location. But we have not ever done a pipe bursting project.
Okay, and no concerns. Here's my big one. We had an engineering study. We put this pipe in the ground there, which turned out to be somewhat of a disaster, because now we're replacing it. And I don't want to be the chair of the board that put in something else that is experimental, and 15 years from now we got problems with it because the pipe gets scarred going in through the HPE or the metal that's around it, all that type stuff. So that's the part I just don't understand well. Yeah. And do you understand that well?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm comfortable with that application. HDPE is a very robust pipe. We do directional drilling all the time, which utilizes the same method. Albeit you're not pulling existing pipe out of the way in that particular application, but we do rock cores all the time. And we pull HDPE through rock cores all the time. It's a thick wall pipe, Larry. If you want, I can send you some information on HDPE. But typically HDPE wall thickness is, depending on the pressure class, could be up to 1.5 inches thick. So it's a very robust pipe. So I don't have a lot of concerns. This isn't an experimental process. I would say that just because we haven't done it before doesn't mean it's a brand new process and experimental. Vortec has been doing it for years. In applications across New England. And I think they could probably cite to you dozens of projects that have been successfully completed in however long, the past 20 years or more, that they've been doing this effort. So I think there's something to be said about relying on their experience in the application that we're looking at. But I don't have a tremendous number of concerns about the pulling the pipe through that existing host pipe.
Okay, and just one more question. How about the A&R? Are they gonna have any problem approving a permit for work like that? Are they comfortable with this?
I don't see any issue.
Okay, good. All right, any other questions from the board on this?
No.
Anything else, Jason, at this point?
I don't think so. Not.
Okay, thank you for your work on this, and thank you for staying on that schedule that we put together. And we'll go from there. Brian, you got anything you want to say?
Nothing in particular. I'm very impressed with the way they've been explaining this to us and so forth, and all the research I've done, especially on what used to be the Ted Berry Company, is these are successful projects, and I think it's really ideally suited for our circumstances. I'm very excited about it.
Okay, good. All right.
Brian, when are you back, if you don't mind me asking, just so we can work around scheduling a 30% meeting?
2 weeks, Jason. Sorry.
Okay, no, that's no problem. No, it won't be until May. I just didn't know if you were never coming back.
Oh, no,
There'll be reason for you to do that.
I'm coming back.
I'll be there. I'll be there in May too.
Oh, you will? Okay, all right. Good. Well,
All right. Thanks, Jason.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you, Jason. All right, moving on. Wagner Development Partners.
Peter's not on, and he didn't have anything for you guys, so
Yeah.
I
Okay.
checked with him.
Yeah, no, I talked to him a couple of weeks ago. I guess the next thing is we'll be submitting a invoice to CRRP once we process our latest invoice. They have asked that we not send any payment requests unless it's a minimum of $20,000. So this last month got us over that.
Okay. 216 Rockledge Drive follow-up. That has Brian written all over it.
It does.
Kevin's here.
They've been notified that we tentatively have kind of approved this design, and they're not going to be moving forward with it in the near future. But they're very happy that we have kind of given the nod to it.
Okay. Was it any idea? Was it something we said?
No, what they wanted to do is they just wanted to make sure that it was going to be viable before they invested any more money in it. And it won't be happening soon, but they're still working towards doing it. And now they have the go-ahead or not the go-ahead, but they have the confidence to finish up the required things that they would need to do, which would be further expense to them. They were hesitant to expend any more money until they knew if the project itself was going to be approved.
Okay. All right. Because I didn't know if it was something we could work with them if it was something that made it a definite no for him or something.
Oh, no, they're gonna do it.
So, all right, so thank you, Brian. Computer replacement update. Where are we at there, guys? We got, let's see, is that the proposal? So Kevin, you still there?
Yes, I am. So I am reaching out to DC3 right now. Still trying to get exactly what's going on for the SCADA computer. I think that's missing a component that we want. The laptop I think is fine. And I don't know if we just want to go ahead and start with the laptop and get that moving, or do these both at once, seeing as the SCADA computer is probably going to be rolled into this tank project anyway.
Okay, so
Works out.
The, neither computer is supported after October by Microsoft.
Yes,
So they both have to be
they both have to
replaced
be done, yes.
by October. So the SCADA, I don't know how we move forward. The goal is to incorporate it with this project. But it, unfortunately, it would make more sense to do it probably when the monitoring went into effect with the storage tank. But based on the limitation of Microsoft no longer supporting it, it's gonna be a little. But I think incorporating this column into it gives us a stronger necessary for the project. But it still has to happen before October. Sorry
Yes.
about it.
No, you're fine. I mean, we are lucky that our current version of SCADA does. We are fortunate with that, but it's really the age of that computer, so we don't fall into that hole we were into 6 or 7 years ago. And then, you know, the laptop's pretty much down to its last legs now anyway, so.
so this would interface with the tank is what you're saying, all this, the new computers and the new
Well, I mean, there's obviously gonna need to be some adjustments to the monitoring software on that computer to incorporate the tank. And I think the discussion has been all along that we could probably justify that this is part of the tank upgrade project for that computer.
Yes, we could. So Andy, your input, have you chatted about this at all?
Yeah, in general terms, and of course, Jason's gone now. One thing he told me, and not specifically about this computer, but the proposal you got from Alan, which Jason has reviewed, is he considers that to be local purchases that can kind of be funneled through him, through Aldrich and Elliott. So it really shows up as part of the project cost, even though, you know, we would be paying it directly. It would show as being part of the total project. So yeah, I don't think there's any issue at all with the computer.
Oh, okay. Is this the one that he's good with? I guess is what I'm asking. I mean, 20,000, that's the whole system, right? So when you say good for the computer, what are you guys saying? Are you saying authorize this offer, or just a computer?
So the 20,000 is a completely separate thing from the computer. They're two different.
Okay, so where's the?
That's what I talked to Jason about,
Yeah.
but the same type of discussion would apply to the computer.
Okay, so how much is the computer?
Well,
I mean, are we talking, is this a couple $1,000?
yeah, so right now, the quote that I got that I'm trying to get clarification on was for a total of $36.98 basically for 2 computers and their configuration and installation. And those have to go through BC3. I don't think we can just buy those on our own, that's my understanding, so.
Okay, so what's the board suggesting we do at this point? Just get the computers? Is that what I'm hearing? No,
Yeah, I think we just get the computers.
just get the computers.
Knock it off the list.
Well, you guys don't have a formal quote in front of you, and it's because we haven't confirmed what we need for the SCADA system, and that's what the Hallam thing all. So it's kind of.
Those are actually two separate things.
But
So
what you need-
Hallam will have a role in this with installing the software on the new SCADA computer, because the IT people will not do that, or the town's IT people will not do that. So we'll need Hallam to be able to sort of at least get that incorporated into the new PC. Then the next component will be with Hallam would be when the tank comes online and we're doing control work to integrate that into the existing system.
So we need Hallam. We need to work with them to confirm what specifically we need from a software perspective. So we can go back to VC3 and say, we're not sure the specs you gave us for the desktop are quite right. Right, yeah. Desktop, or yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like a big circle, so they're linked, even though,
They need to sign off that what the selected hardware is works for everything we've got, right?
I think Hallam needs to come first. We need them. to
Well,
help us confirm what we need from
I mean,
VC3 for a
in
computer.
the scope of work from Hallam, he does call out upgrading SCADA computer to a new model, so he's
Yeah.
kind of incorporating that portion of it already into the tank, but as part of the work that we're gonna hire them for, even though it's not necessarily related to the tank, but it is kind of.
Yes.
It is.
It is.
It's not kind of, it's very much
Yeah,
related.
It definitely is.
We
Yeah.
can't do the tank without it.
The other third leg of this is explain to me, if we can't do it without it, is it not in the bid? I mean, what portion is Negley and Chase doing?
Yeah, well, I think I can touch on that. Our contract with Negley and Chase, the design of the project included getting information from the tank to our system on site. What we do to integrate that within our existing control system is up to us, and I think that's where we are right now.
It's kind of like the West Tech project where we had to have Dwayne integrate the new filter into our existing.
Yeah, if Dwayne were still around, we probably wouldn't even be having this discussion.
Right. But it's the same type of scenario.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you want now, Kevin? Computer?
That's a new
You want
computer
the-
tomorrow.
You want the computer?
Well, no, I need to get the computers, and I'm gonna call their actual rep tomorrow. And if I have to put in a new work order for this, then that's what I'm gonna do, to get this clarified, because like I said, the laptop is fine. But we're going through this with other systems too, because the other systems, SCADA does not comply with Windows 11. And everybody that they've dealt with has said, yes, you have to have this one component that this one does not have. So I want to make sure that we're getting what we need.
I think they need to talk to somebody like Hallam.
Yeah.
To make sure that,
Yeah,
which,
Like in writing, like they need
Yeah.
to
yeah,
agree that everything that they've seen, the specs that they've seen.
so as soon as I can get what I know we need for that SCADA computer, I want to place this order.
Yep. Well, I would make the motion that we allow Kevin to make that purchase as soon as he's 100% sure what he needs.
And I don't think what I need is gonna potentially add too much to the cost of what's already on that quote. But
so how much is that quote?
it was the 3678 or
So
whatever
if
for
they make it
everything.
not to exceed 4,500? Like,
That's all.
because according to the purchasing policy, he doesn't have authority for anything over 3,000, so he would need somewhat of a window.
Okay, we'll say up to a maximum of $5,000.
I'll second that.
Hear that. Yep.
Did you second that, Brian?
Yep.
Okay, further discussion on that? Not hearing any. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
All right.
Aye. Any nays? Okay, so that passes. So that brings me back to this $20,000 quote, though. What do you need out of that at this point, Kevin?
Well, I don't think we need anything other than we need to be able to okay this. If you, you know, I think he did a pretty good job of, you know, we met at the plant and, tried to kind of talk about different situations and things that we would need for this upgrade. And basically what he says is he's giving us basically a time and materials number, which is what that 20,000 is. So if for some reason we get through all this and it ends up being 15,000, well, then that's what it is. It's 15,000. It's not like we're paying the extra 5 for it. It's just kind of, we basically have a tab there, I think, in the future if we needed it, or maybe it expires after the year. I haven't gotten that clarification yet, but.
Okay, and if we, Andy, we run this through, you're suggesting we give this to Jason and let
I'll just
run.
kind of run it through the budget that he set up, because he had allocated certain amounts of money for, I think he called local purchases, so this would fall under that category. It would just be assured that it shows up as part of the total project cost. And I would also say that we asked Jason to review this proposal and he thought it was reasonable.
Okay, so do we need a motion that forwards this to Jason to act upon?
I think it's up to Kevin to
Well,
act on it.
I think we just need to get the okay. Or I just need to get the okay, so I can let Hallam know that, yes, the board approves this and.
Okay, then I will make the motion that we allow Kevin to proceed with the Hallam proposal as presented.
I'll second that.
So for discussion, how does that on paperwork show that Jason is doing it?
I'll work out the details with Jason. I'm not sure, 100% sure. He just said it. Yeah, I mean, I think we wouldn't even have to run it through him at all, and it still is a legitimate project cost. And it just makes it more clear if we do that. But I'll work out the details with Jason.
Okay, because here's the other part. If we do this, then we're gonna be paying for it, right?
We're gonna pay for it in any event, yes.
And then put it over for okay. I'd like to, you know, just as long as we're not messing something up and not gonna get the fundings out of it is my only concern. So that's my thought. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I do. I wonder if we could maybe, since this is part of the project, maybe we could submit that for grant reimbursement at this point in time.
I mean, it's certainly part of our cost. We certainly could get money through CRRP, I think.
Well, it's only a quote.
Yeah, it's only a quote. We actually have to spend the money
We have
before
to-
we get
yeah.
reimbursed.
I mean, but we can
But we're
include
gonna
it.
do that.
Yeah,
We would include it.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. Oh, absolutely, we
Yeah.
include that, yeah.
Any further discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Okay. Aye. Kevin, you got the football.
It's not prepared to do anything, because I figured you
This
guys.
is the follow-up on the insurance inspection.
Oh, yeah,
You and I had
so,
talked about that.
yeah, so I do, I replaced the one chain, that came up in insurance inspection. I just need to get some more chain and a couple carabiners for the second portion of it. I keep passing Mike Burdock to get his opinion on our exit signs. I'm not sure where to follow up with that. I don't think, getting the state marshal out here or anything. I'm not sure we need to go down that avenue, but I figure Mike's knowledge will probably be hopefully good enough. And then the chain fall, we are actually, currently using right now, and has some good weight suspended to it to test it. So I think it's safe to say that that piece of equipment is operational and safe.
Good.
Okay. All right. Anything further there? Spring flushing.
Yeah, so, I was originally thinking of starting the very last week of April, and now I'm thinking if it's not too late to get the notice out, I think I'd actually like to try to start flushing next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, the deadline is 10 a.m. tomorrow.
10 a.m. tomorrow.
I think that would be good.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay,
Is it one of those like recycle and repeat, so we could just-
all I do is change the dates on it, basically.
Okay.
So, and I just changed the dates on it when I was waiting for the meeting tonight, and I was like, I didn't send it.
All right. Anything else that is not on there? Kevin, since you're here.
No, I think all in all, everything's been going relatively well. We have been working with Mark Millette on some other control work up at the plant for these little things that have popped up. And he's actually been taking a little bit of time and making basically like a list of stuff. So the next time he or somebody else is gonna have to go in there, it will be, it's like a populated list, so it'll be hopefully easier for him or the next person to find. That's doing that work, so I think I think we will have a little upfront cost on that right now, but hopefully it's gonna save us down the road. I haven't seen his bill yet. I think he's gonna mail it this week, so, but,
Okay.
yeah, I think that's all been going fine, and, all of our winter projects are done. We're rolling into the spring, summer stuff, and like I said, we'll start the flushing next week and move on from there.
Okay. Sounds good. And a side note, test results are all coming back where they need to be.
I believe so. We just took the DBPs last week. I have not got those results back yet, but I'd like to be confident that we're gonna be in a good spot.
Good.
We'll see.
Thank you very much for coming to the meeting. Let me look. I don't see anything that I really.
The CCR template, do we need Kevin for that before Lisa reports on it?
We just got it yesterday, from Simon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're gonna add some language for the USDA.
Yeah, probably not, because those are pretty much boilerplate from the state, and I think basically all we do is just fill in the blanks where they're supposed to be filled in, the name of the water
Right.
system, and that sort of thing. So that's kind of concrete what has to go out there, and I think anything you guys want to add to that on top of it is at your discretion, as long as all that other stuff is already there.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that we got it from SOS.
Yep, we got it yesterday.
The only other thing Kevin might want to address before he leaves is spring work projects. You talked about flushing.
Yeah, so I've got my list again. I didn't hit send.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
but we've got a fair amount of asphalt to replace this year. I don't know who does asphalt work anymore, but obviously this Route 2 portion that we just dug up a couple weeks ago is going to be a high priority with the state. The guy that used to do it for us for years is no longer doing it anymore from Alberg and work for a paving company. So I don't know if just these GC guys will come in and with lower hot mix and do it. I'm still looking into that.
I'll just throw out that South End Road is a high priority for me.
I know, well, and that is on, I mean, Tracy did tell me that, and maybe Tracy can do it
Yeah.
with his crew, I don't know, but that's one of the ones that I put on his list.
Yeah.
For last year that he never did, that he never got around to doing, and I figured he'd do all these little small ones
Yeah.
for us, and maybe they can do the one out here as well.
Okay, all right, anything else? Otherwise, you're welcome to head south if you'd like to.
Great.
Thank you
Thanks,
for
Kevin.
coming, appreciate it.
Absolutely, that was interesting.
Water credit supervisor report.
Yep, so we have a total of $4,976.18 delinquent. The fourth installment is due next week. We'll start disconnects May 21st, the disconnect process. For anybody who's delinquent at that point.
Okay, nice work, appreciate that. Any questions for Lisa on that? Hearing none. Preferred-
We can't.
5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, what are you doing?
I would say, 10 or 15.
Preferred contractors, list.
Yep, so that's the list with the new guy, the 5 vendors.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
with the cutting edge.
Yep, cutting edge. So if you guys approve that, I'll send out the paperwork and get that going to those 5.
I'll make the motion that we send out the paperwork to the 5 listed contractors.
Second.
Okay, but we have to make a motion to accept that new list is what she's asking for, right?
Okay, well,
Yeah, well,
I'll amend the motion to accept the list of 5 contractors and to request the paperwork.
Okay, unless I misunderstood it. All right, a second.
Second.
Frank seconded.
Any discussion on it? Not hearing any. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? No nays.
And so I don't see Brian, so I'm taking, it's just 4 of you.
Brian,
He
Brian,
had the, yeah.
Brian
something
stepped
going
out,
on in the
so-
background there. He's not with us at the moment.
okay, so I'm not gonna include him.
okay, thank you. Yeah, I see he's muted. So that takes care, let's see.
Yep,
North-
and the consumer confidence report I got yesterday, so next month I'll have the consumer confidence report, the mailing or insert that we send out with the billing and the rates. We'll do the whole billing thing next month.
Okay, did I? Sort of going back and forth, so the list and the preferred, okay. And repair policy, okay. All right, that sounds good. So just a question for my clarification, Lisa, the North Hero Water Preferred Contractor Amendment 2023 final. We have that there just as reference or
Yes,
for
it's just the
updating?
document. Yep,
Okay.
I just included the document in the packet that will get sent to the contractors.
Oh,
And
okay,
it was, that's the latest version. It was amended in 2023.
okay, all right. Okay, good. Thank you for that work. Board discussion action items, spring work projects, Andy, and let's see,
Well,
Brian.
yeah, we had Kevin address that before he left, so I think we're good there.
Okay, good. Discussion of disbursements and requirements for grant funding. All 3 of them, anything important there?
Yes, there are important things. NBRC grant, no real issues. I guess the big thing coming up for all of the grants is to, we got to do an updated budget. But I'm gonna recommend we hold off until 60% design on phase 2, so that we've got a better handle. I think we're still looking at the same original bottom line. It's just a matter of redistributing, the line items and submitting it to those two organizations for approval. Don't anticipate that'll be an issue. Big problem with USDA, the people we had been working with, both are gone as of today. We did get, one of them to sign our pay requisition. That was probably the last official act before he left. Their regional office of 32 people has been reduced to 9. So no idea how that's going to impact us moving forward in terms of our grant.
Okay. Did they indicate that it was gonna be of a problem?
They didn't have time to indicate anything today. The
Yeah.
last discussion I had is they didn't feel there was going to be an issue with our funds. But now they've got less than a third of the people, so I think it might be more of a time frame issue than anything else.
All right, so that doesn't sound like a big,
Well,
I attended a webinar, I don't know, week and a half ago about, it was a forum put on by a Vermont Rural Development Initiative, somebody, and it was basically an opportunity for people to get together and share their experiences because there's so little information about what is happening at the federal level and how it's trickling down. And there are people that are officially having their grant funds revoked, and there were a few examples of that. But most predominantly what's happening is that people are not getting reimbursements because there isn't the staff to process them. So I think this is where your concern is, Andy.
yes, exactly.
I was very disappointed to get that email too, because there was story after story of people who had submitted reimbursements and they were just ghosted. There wasn't even like a, I'm busy or out of office. It was just dead silence.
Okay.
Yeah, so so I think Andy's concern is warranted. I think we move ahead. But yeah.
I think we've got to consider the possibility that we ultimately don't get that $500,000.
Yes.
okay, so, what did you say got signed today? From
The first pay requisition from Negley and Chase, it needs to be approved by the engineer, the owner, which is me and Jason, and
Yep.
US. We got their approval. He had reviewed that pay requisition a week or two ago. So
Okay,
like, I think it was his last official act.
so that was sent in for reimbursement.
No, we don't get reimbursement from, that's the last piece of funding that we get. We have to exhaust all of our other funding before we can get the 500,000 from USDA, and that's just for phase 1.
They have to approve it as we.
And but they have to approve our expenditures as we go, so that may be an issue.
They approve it as they go. Okay, so we're on track with that. So,
Right now, we're on track. We just
Not
don't
pay
know
as you
what's, huh?
Not pay as you go. We have to spend everything and then they cut
Yeah,
the check
and
for
then
500 grand.
Yeah, you go to them at the end for the reimbursement of the 500,000.
okay, so it's a one-shot check thing. Okay, so, keep the board in the loop on that. If it slows down at all, at some point, we will have a conversation with the Congresswoman's office and go from there.
Yeah. And then I touched on it earlier, but the CRRP grant, now that we've got this invoice approved and Lisa's about to make payments based on our most recent warrant, we're gonna go ahead and request reimbursement from CRRP. We'll work with Peter on that.
Okay, all right,
The 20% of what we've spent so far.
all right. Good. Anything else?
And then the Northern Borders Quarterly Report, which was included in the packet just for information.
All right, I think I looked at that. Any questions from the board on the quarterly report? Not hearing any. Let's see. Am I out of? And think I grabbed the wrong financial report. So, yeah. I got this thing on the front and back, and then there's another stuff printed on one other side that doesn't go with it. So we got the quarterly report, Q3, and financial report. Is there anything there? I guess we're looking for the North Hero CD investment stuff, Frank.
Yes, so I would, I'm gonna continue to recommend that we roll on 30-day terms on the CD. I think we've got more disruption coming in the markets and things like that, so I think it's, you know, as nimble as we can be and as short access where we can get to the money if needed for whatever purpose, even if it's to move it somewhere else. I think that's helpful.
Make that in terms of a motion.
Yes.
I will second.
Yes, so I'll make a motion that we continue on the 30-day roll schedule for the CDs until further notice.
I'll second.
Okay, and I heard a second on it. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? No nays. Capital improvement plan. All right, so thinking, Frank, you're probably involved in some of that, or?
Yeah, so the documentation went out to all the boards with what was submitted last year. I had submitted the Route 2 water line replacement and the water storage tank project. I think we'll just update the cost amounts on
Yep.
those and resubmit them and call it a day.
Yep.
Okay. And Frank, you're still on the board over there?
Yes.
Okay. So somebody will tell them we don't need money for it, or you can tell them we do need money if you like.
500,000.
500,000, there you go. All right. Okay. Thank you, Lisa. Zoom procedures, North Hero Zoom procedures to prevent bombings. All right, I clicked on that. Where is that?
So Corinne sent out all kinds of information about the Zoom bombings and Zoom procedures, and the boards are discussing whether to have just in-person meetings or hybrid meetings, and I think hybrid is the only, way to go for you guys with the traveling. So,
Well, we could make Larry come up here every month.
yeah. There you go.
And Brian.
Yeah.
We won't talk about Jim. But yeah, we haven't had a problem, so I think we're good.
We changed the Zoom ID, the meeting ID. It's no longer published on the calendars. I think we can I can keep changing the Zoom ID every other month or something, and I'm watching to see, now we have a waiting room. I don't know if you guys noticed at the beginning, but you had to be let into the meeting. So I have a second computer set up and I'm watching who's coming in and.
Okay, so that way you have to get invited in, otherwise you're out on the edge. Okay, and you have the ability to mute.
Remove somebody.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, somebody got out of control, I can remove. So behave.
So can you just mute them initially if it's somebody we don't know until we're looking for input? But then how would they do input? We just tell them to raise their hand, the online?
Well, I think if somebody joins that we don't know or recognize, we call them out and ask them who they are, and what they're interested in, and so.
Okay.
Were there examples that we knew about if people were sharing screens or with inappropriate content or something? Was it just saying inappropriate things?
I think there was something on their camera. It wasn't that they were screen sharing. And we have it locked down that you have to allow somebody to share their screen. So I think somebody was on camera doing whatever.
So our policy says that we have to allow people to share?
share their screen?
Well, so like this camera is recording Larry. If he decides to hold up a phone with porn, there's nothing we can do about that. So, I mean, you take measures.
Picking on you, Larry.
Yeah.
Nice picture of the boat.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but that's what happened to this committee, so.
That's what happened? Oh, jeez. Okay,
so, um,
all right.
graphic, but, so the ability is, it's more of an awareness of how to turn somebody's camera off. You know, again, Lisa's right, you know, when you let them in, make sure you know who they are, why do you want to be here, that'll probably mitigate most of it.
Yeah. And is that something we might want to consider having that more towards the top of the meeting of, you know, we have recognition of visitors now. Of course, it was down a little because we had all the reorganization. Corinne, has there been any thought that it should be like right up on the top?
Yeah. I think that's a great idea.
You know, the downside of it is some people don't show up right away. I just throw that out there for something to think about. And because I'm not sure what the negative part would be, because we always approve the minutes right away. But why don't you guys think about that, Corinne and Lisa? And I think we'd be up for, you're the ones dealing with it. I'm not, so.
I think it's a great idea. Parks and Rec does that. One of the first items on their agenda is have all the board members introduce themselves, and I think it calls out Zoom. I think that's why they added it. But that's really why I sent out that information, is so each board could have a discussion as to what works for them. All of our committees all really do operate very differently and have different goals. So that's a great idea. You guys are one of the most, you use Zoom the most. You take advantage of the ability.
Okay.
So,
Mr. Chairman, I hate to interrupt. I have to leave at this point in time. I just,
Okay.
I'm out of time. Sorry.
You're out
All
of time.
See
See
you in a
ya.
couple weeks.
Bye.
Bye.
What would the board like to do? You
I
want to?
like the idea of having that something right up front of the meeting. We can see who's there, monitor it.
So then let's put it in the future right after adjustment to the agenda. Would that be okay?
I mean, you could put it there, but you know, somebody can call in now on this meeting. You
Right.
know, and you know, it's up to Lisa to let them in or not, you know? So whether you have that recognition, no matter where it is on the agenda, people can come in any moment, anytime. There's no time constraint or anything about when they're gonna show up.
Well, there is, Jim. The constraint now, the way I understand it, and Lisa, correct me if I'm wrong, they will come in a box.
Oh, I know that part. I'm saying is, as far as putting that as recognition of visitors up front, because Lisa has control over it the whole time.
Right. So they come in, they go in that box,
Yeah.
and we have warned that recognition of visitors would happen up here at the top. Now, if we've went through that and now somebody else shows up, we don't have any obligation to go back there.
No.
So
I think it'll just go on fine. Just do what we do.
Yeah, I don't think we can prevent somebody from coming in. You wouldn't prevent somebody from walking into an in-person
Right.
meeting. But when I get the notice that there's somebody waiting to come in, I'll let you know, and that there's somebody waiting, and then you can address it then.
yeah, but what I'm saying is recognition of visitors. There's a specific time on the agenda of where we put that you can be recognized versus you're on Zoom or you walk into a meeting, and there's no obligation of the board to recognize those folks afterwards.
Yep.
So it's just sort of a thought of, Meaning we can still go in and have a conversation to see who it is. And number two, we're not, are we preventing them from seeing us or just they can't participate? When you put them
If
in.
I don't let them in, they don't see or hear anything.
Oh, okay, then that we can't do.
Right.
We do have to.
It's a public meeting.
Yeah, so at that point, we have to allow them to see. So, all right, so in that case, it doesn't matter. You're correct, Jim. So.
I think it's a matter if somebody gets unwieldy, you just say bye-bye and you click them off.
There you go. All right, then, I'm happy keeping it the way that it is then. If that's what the will of the board. Thank you, Jim. All right, where are we? I got so many.
The final audit report I shared with you all, I didn't include it as part of the packet because I think it was too big. I wasn't able to post it, so I didn't include it in the packet, but it was emailed to everybody and I had emailed it to Frank. You pay for part of it and have a large portion of the money that, so I wanted to share it with you all.
Yep.
That's all that is.
Was there anything in there of concern, Lisa or Frank, anything you saw, or Corinne?
No, there were no recommendations from the auditor, so.
Reads like all of the audit
Audit
reports, right? The same
And
wording, the template wording and.
The select board took it up last week and they were fine with it as well.
Wow, there was no recommendations from the auditor. Is this a new auditor?
No.
Wow. All right, moving on, SharePoint folder, Microsoft Authenticator app. All right, I'm all ears on this one.
So I sent out an email on Friday with instructions for very simple ones, basically to download the Authenticator app and then click on a link and a follow-up email that would walk you through the steps to authenticate.
Okay.
Did you all get that email?
Well, you didn't send it to those of us that were not having issues before that, correct?
Right, so I believe,
I
yeah,
didn't,
you and
I
Frank,
already used it.
yeah,
but I've since had an issue.
have you?
Well, minor. I've, on my laptop, the main computer I use at home, I put it under my favorites tab. I have no problem getting into it anywhere, anytime I want. I tried to get to it from my little notebook computer.
Huh.
And it sent me to Authenticator and which I had on my phone. But it wouldn't let me continue unless I paid him $60. They kept asking me for the
That's
advanced
not right.
version. So I think that's just an issue on my end, but,
Okay,
I've
that's-
seen that. I use it for like 6 accounts and I haven't been asked to.
yeah, I didn't have a problem in the past, but when I tried to log in on my notebook, it said, go to your authenticator and put in this code. And when I tried to do that, it just,
and this has been the issue with the uptake in the town is that between the different, devices, phone, iPad,
Yeah.
laptop, desktop, and then the different software. Some people are Apple, some people are
Yeah.
Microsoft. And just from a safety perspective, Microsoft, I think on purpose mixes it up. So you download the Authenticator app and you start walking through. I can't tell you exactly what the steps will be because sometimes it's an email, sometimes it's a text, sometimes you enter a code in the computer, sometimes you're entering a code in the Authenticator.
Yeah.
So there isn't a way to say like very specifically do A, B, C, and D. It's kind of like very general. You need the Authenticator, you need to click the link, you need to walk through the authentication. If you need more specific help than that, it's gonna be one-on-one.
yeah,
Once you get it up and working.
yeah. Like I said, I got no problem at all on my laptop. It's fine, yeah, it's great.
So
So-
you hearing?
So I did not see the email. I've been somewhat out of the country. I will go back through and look for it and go from there. All right, so look up. All right, thank you. Sale of town property. What do we got there?
That's that piece of property on Station Road that has the water line. The voters approved the sale of it.
Oh, yeah.
And the board is moving forward with that, and they do know that an easement has to be included at the time of sale when they sign the documents.
Okay. Good.
We just, I think, wanted to let you know that was happening and moving forward. If anybody had any concerns or questions or.
If you want to assign somebody from the water board to review everything, it would be a part of the closing. I just didn't know how much of interaction you wanted.
I'm comfortable, Harry, last week, he's very knowledgeable on what has to happen, so I'm gonna trust the select board.
Yeah, and I went over it with Harry and Carl back when we were discussing it, so I think they've got it down. If is there like a copy of it at this point of what they're?
It's very preliminary. We're still connecting our lawyer to his lawyer and that kind of stuff. It's the buyer, town lawyer.
So I think when they have a tentative agreement, can it be emailed to us?
Okay.
And at that point, so we don't break any rules, just look at it. And if there's some big concern that you have, I don't know, can we all look at it and call into the office? Are we breaking a rule there?
Oh, as long as you don't talk to each other.
So if there's a big concern that somebody sees, just call in to Lisa, and Lisa will know what to do at that point if she needs to bring the whole board into it or not.
Yep.
But I'm sure Harry, I had the conversation with Harry, so I'm sure I hope he remembers what we need. All right, correspondence, email with Pam. I emailed Pam back.
I did too. I think she probably got 3
Yeah,
answers.
and so did Kevin, yeah, so I think she's all set.
Yeah, so she sent the thank you and a couple other things, and yeah, I think she's good. Future agenda items. I guess just the regular stuff. Does anybody have anything outside the norm we need? Do you want me to go over more specifically, Lisa, or?
No, I think I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's, other than the billing stuff that I'm gonna present to you guys, everything's pretty normal.
Yep.
Okay, that's great.
We keep the grants.
The grant status and the water tank project and
Yeah.
the US Route 2, spring flushing. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Thank you. I appreciate everybody tonight. I know it's been a long one for hanging in there. I'm ready to adjourn though.
Make the motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. The meeting has adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Good night.
I'll be in person next time.
Good.
Okay.
There's a note like.
Oh, we were gonna talk about the dinner
Uh,
on the May meeting. You wanna hold off?
no, you can put that on for the May meeting. That'd be a good time. Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
There's a note about Kevin having to approve this invoice.
Yeah.